Welcome back to another episode of Forbidden Depths. I'm your host, Queen Frostbitten, and we're here today to get down, dirty, and sultry by staying open, educated, consensual, and safe. If you're returning, welcome back to another episode. Thanks for supporting the channel and its growth. If, of course, you're new here, make sure you follow, like, and subscribe, because one taste will never be enough. Thank you guys for coming back to another episode of Forbidden Depths. I have an amazing person with us today that has so many talents. Like, I can't even list all the talents she has, but I'm going to go ahead and let her introduce herself to you.
LadyOProductions, female Hugh Hefner. How you doing?
Yes, I love it. That was, okay, so I'm going to tell you that tagline in your Twitter was the thing that got me, okay? As soon as I started following you, I was like, first looking over your content, and then I saw female Hugh Hefner, and I was like, holy shit. I have to not only follow her, but support her. So that's actually how I started following you.
I got to tell you how I decided to come up with that hashtag.
Yes, I want to hear it.
There's two things that took place with that. First of all, if you look at the list of all the talent that I work with, it's everyone that's on certain producers' list of, oh my God, I got to work with them. And I managed to work with them in such a short time, only like in 2 years. I've been producing for 2 years. And I managed to snag a lot of people that everybody wants. So from that alone, the fact that I work with all these beautiful and amazing models, that, and the fact that I had a hater, which is a guy with camera, he made this crazy statement where he said that I get all the models that I get, the top name models, because quote unquote, I give them lavish gifts and that we all exchange sexual favors. And I'm like, really? If that's the case, then I must be the female Hugh Hefner.
Right. And is that really a bad thing though? Like,
but it's not true. I don't do any of those things.
But it's not a bad thing. It's like, okay.
Now, if I had his money, then I would be
right. That's what I'm saying. But
because struggle is real.
So if you guys don't follow her on Twitter, you can follow her at LADY_OYANKA. I highly suggest it because she's super, super supportive, just all around. Like, you can look on her page, super fucking supportive. And she dabbles in a little bit of everything. There's wrestling, there's boxing. We're looking at fetish content, adult content. She's literally a producer and a fucking amazing one, and a promoter. Did I say promoter? I don't know. I told you, all this talent just wrapped into this beautiful human. You want to definitely follow.
And the thing, I retweet too for everyone. You know, it's not like, oh, I'm not going to retweet for you because I don't know you. If I like your page and I like what you have there and you tweeting, I'll give it a retweet. I don't mind.
Yeah. I've noticed. Super supportive, super amazing. So let's go ahead and kind of talk about how you got into work to begin with. Like, where did you start?
Well, I started early on, like in 1998, where I was introduced into the world of underground wrestling and the session wrestling. At first, I didn't think too much of it, and I was like, "What the hell is this weird shit?" But then I was like, "Oh, okay, it's an extra way to pay for college, an extra way to pay for like the rent and whatnot." And I was doing it. At the same time, I got introduced into underground boxing and fighting, which was totally separate, and I was getting paid that. So I kind of like stopped doing the sessions and I started doing that through college. And then I stopped completely. And once I stopped, all of a sudden, I was doing some promoting for professional wrestlers. And all of a sudden I see that everything is intertwining, where the session world had become a little bit more mainstream. A lot of the session girls were doing fetish and some were doing adult. And I was like, oh, wow, this is pretty freaking cool.
Yeah.
Started just like retweeting stuff for people, know them, talking to them. I would scout them and then recommend them to other producers that I knew that were looking for a particular person. Then the pandemic hit. And at that point, I became a retweet fiend.
Yeah.
Where I'm tweeting for everyone, because everyone was going through the whole thing where some people didn't have a vanilla job on the side.
Yeah.
So couldn't pay their bills now. And all relying on was people going to their clip stores and buying stuff. So what I was doing in the meantime was I would retweet for everybody. I would set certain days aside, retweet and retweet and retweet for everyone. And not just fetish stars, not just session girls, not just adult stars. I was retweeting for dominatrixes, escorts, only people that were only doing OnlyFans, because that became a big. Everybody and their mother had an OnlyFans page.
Yeah.
Retweeting for everyone.
Right.
And here we are.
Okay. Okay. So I really, really like that. I not only like it because you were super supportive for other people in the industry, but also because with doing so, you build up this kind of network to kind of build who you are now.
Yes.
Right. So the connections really, really paid off.
Yeah. And people do notice that. There's a lot of complain about, oh, I don't want to retweet this for somebody because they won't retweet. It's not about whether the person you retweeted for is going to go on your page and retweet your stuff. It's about the fact that you did it. So people can be like, oh, yeah, I know who this is. They always retweet for so-and-so or this person. And even the person you retweeted for at a certain point will say, hey, yeah, I remember you always retweet my stuff. Yeah, I'll love to work with you. That's how that works. And even if you write like one comment, that helps too. And a lot of people don't notice this, the fans some fans eventually do want to become a producer, or they want to dabble in it, or they want to become a talent. This is how you kind of get into it.
Yeah.
Because you have to have some sort of rapport with the person that you're following, and it's not about, oh yeah, what you're wearing is so sexy. None of that shit. You can compliment the talent and say, yeah, that's a really great outfit. I really like it. But don't go into details and being an extra perv, because that, believe it or not, turn the talent off.
Yeah, because it makes them feel like you don't really want to work with them as talent. It's like you're looking at them like a check mark on your to-do list.
Yes, yes. On your bucket list, so to speak.
Yeah, yeah, which is disgusting.
Yeah.
I mean, you can be attracted to someone, don't get me wrong. I mean, there's a lot of people that I look at and I'm like, that's effort that I love. That's what I'm attracted to. But I'm not like, hey, let me go ahead and lick this off your body. You know what I mean?
It's kind of funny because when you're in the position where you're working with models that do adult and some that don't, and you see some of the things that are written on their posts, you're kind of like, oh my God, how do they deal with this? I even have people that on a constant basis are sending me freaking dick pics. And it's not just the guys, because some of the girls will send you breast pics, taco pics, booty pics. Oh, hey, I love all the pics, but why? Why don't you send me a picture of your face and saying hello? Yeah. That something that's different.
Yeah, right. And it be something engaging for growth.
Yeah.
Like the rapport we were talking about. Like, give me that. Like, I need that. So
let me tell you, when I made the announcement that I was going to become a producer, that I was going from promoting and scouting to all of a sudden becoming a producer, you would think that people would send you pictures of their face so that you could kind of like think about them when you're going to hire for a clip. No, I was getting people that were sending me pictures of their crotch. Like, yeah, but if I'm going to hire you, why do I need to look at your crotch? Maybe that's not what I'm going to hire you for.
Yeah. Yeah. Unless it's like some kind of close up stuff, I guess. Like the point of view where you need to be like all focused in. But I mean,
I know.
yeah.
I was after a while because I was like, yeah, thanks for sending me this, but I need to see your face so that way I can associate it to what I want to hire you for. The other part, you can look at them later if that's what I have to film.
Right. Yeah. 100%. And I guess a lot of people don't realize that in porn or fetish or anything adult, people like to see your face. They like to see the expression.
Yes. They like to see your face. A lot of the people like to see the outfits that are being worn, wardrobe per se. People like to see the makeup.
Yeah.
eyelashes, which is like a big thing now. Everybody likes these big spider-like eyelashes.
Yeah. Yeah. Cum catchers. It's so funny that people don't know where that originally came from. Like I see all these people that think that they're like better than other people, like civvy people, and they're wearing these giant eyelashes, and I'm like, oh, you're ready to catch somebody's cum, and they don't even know what it's for.
Even some of the expressions and things, like people just don't get it. And it's funny, it's amusing. It's
Mm-hmm.
And believe it or not, there's a lot of people in the industry that do make not only this job, but they do have regular everyday vanilla jobs.
Yeah.
So you have to pretty much become a split personality, so to speak, in order to be Barbie in the morning that's going to the office, and then be Barbie, the slutty Barbie at night.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to split yourself into two people, pretty much.
And that can be exhausting.
It can be.
Yeah.
It can be, because there's been times where I answer my phone and I forget that it's not for my everyday thing. And I'll answer it, yes, hello. And when the person goes, yeah, is this lady? I'm like, wait, who's this? Why are you calling me on this number?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. So kind of talking about the industry overall. Let's go back to kind of you getting into it. Was it something that was easy to get into? Did it take you a little while? I know you spent time networking to build up rapport, but was that something that was kind of easy to jump into?
it was very easy to jump into, though I have to say, I do have a photography background. I had never really like recorded anybody as far as using a camcorder or anything.
Right.
And I think the biggest thing that made me nervous is, what if I like spend all this money, do all this, and my product at the end looks like crap? And that's what I was worried about.
Yeah.
Because just like with photography, the lighting has to be proper.
Mhm.
Um, the surroundings in itself has to be proper. You can't have clutter,
Right.
behind your filming, because that, believe it or not, it distracts the people looking at the film. Um,
Yes.
I had to like think about, what to use for editing. What camera was I going to get? And then after I spend money on a camera, I find out that mostly everybody now is using their phones to record. So
Yeah, I noticed that too.
I was like, lovely, though I prefer using my Canon X8 to record the clips versus using my iPhone. I only use the iPhone in a case of emergency, like for
Right.
whatever reason, the camera is acting up at that moment because of the climate or
Yeah.
whatever's going on.
Or if you need
Or
like a second camera or something.
something happens and I go somewhere without my Canon, then I have the phone. I might as well use it.
Right.
But I'm not a big fan of using the cameras. I think if you're a producer and you show up on the set and everybody's ready to film, and all of a sudden you whip out your phone, it's like, what the fuck is that?
It doesn't look very professional. Yeah.
Doesn't. I mean, like, I could understand if it's something quick. You were meeting up with someone and all of a sudden everybody's talking, and then you're like, hey, you know what? Let's film something for OnlyFans, or let's film something real quick for a quick clip. And
Mhm.
you're like, oh, I don't have my camera. Oh, well, here we go. Here, I got the cell phone. In those instances, 100%.
Right. Or if you're like trying to keep it low key, if it's like something that you're trying to portray as public and you're trying to, you know what I mean? Like make it look public, but like more amateur kind of style.
Something in a subway, or you're filming something in a car or in the
Yeah.
park or something you want, or it's an area where you're not sure that you're going to be allowed to film at. So you just like whip out the phone, keep it in a hidden area, and then do that.
Yeah. 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 Right. So let's talk a little bit about Lady O. So I know you said you got your start in wrestling and you kind of, it was a way to help you pay for college and stuff. Was there any other interests that you had that kind of drew you into wrestling to get you started?
Basically, to be honest with you, it was because I need the money, and it was fast money.
Okay.
And things where it's like you're trying to get like all these side gigs and you're trying to hustle to get quick money. And if you're doing it on an hourly basis and you're doing a regular job, at that particular time, minimum wage, get ready, was only like 4.25 an hour, at least here in New York. It was only 4.25 an hour. You put in 2 hours, 3 hours, what are you taking home? You don't even have enough for a freaking Starbucks coffee.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden you get introduced into this, hey, you can make a quick $100 for just an hour. Or guess what? For $400 and you only got to work 30 minutes, this is what you're getting. Oh, well, huh. Count me in. Sign me
Yeah.
up.
Yeah, for sure.
Uh,
For sure. So with you getting into being super, super supportive with these other people that kind of worked in the industry, did it make you want to get more involved in the industry as you've seen like these other women and it kind of like inspiring you?
Well, this is the thing. My household, my parents were very open minded when it
Okay.
came to their bodies
Mhm.
and pornography.
Mhm.
Uh, my parents pretty much taught me that that is more of like an educational art form.
Right.
You view it and then you learn certain things that you can apply since I was little. They were like, you can apply this when have, a boyfriend or a girlfriend that you want to do stuff with, and you're older and you can do these things, or your husband, whatever. And I was like, oh, interesting. So my parents were like, oh my God, what are you looking at? They weren't
Yeah.
that kind. And oddly enough, when I was about like 18 or 19, I used to purchase a lot of different videos because I like to look at everything that was out there so that I would know out there. And I developed this little tiny side gig that I had where I had my male friends that would come over. They would rent the videos out for me, and I had like a nice little Excel sheet listing who took what, when they took it, when they're returning it. And I remember that my grandmother happened to be staying with us during that time because she had this thing where she would stay 6 months in Florida, 6 months in New York. So I was on my way to school and work because I was still going to college at that time and working full time. And I turned around to my grandmother and I said, you have to do me a favor. There's going to be this person and that person. They're going to be returning some videos. Here are these videos I'm putting on the side for you, are the ones you got to give them. And here's the list where you check off and they got to give you some money. And I told her the amount of money that they had to give her. She's looking at the list and she's like, what kind of videos are these that they're getting? I said, they're porn. She's like, oh, so you're a pornographer now? That word stuck because I started laughing about it. I was like, a pornographer? What's a pornographer, Grandma? And she's like, oh, a person that's in porn. So a pornographer is a person in porn. Years passed, and my grandmother's dead now by this point, but years passed, and that became the ongoing joke in my mother's family. Oh, so there you are, pornographer.
Yeah.
We are. I'm a pornographer.
Nice. I love it. I love how supportive and open your parents were, being like, there's a time and place for this, and you can use it as an education. Like, do you know how many kids that would save? Like, how many people overall that would save? Not just on a like physical basis, but like a mental basis where they don't feel like they gotta hide shit, you know?
If parents in general were more open with their kids about what's going on in the world and what's out there, I don't think that one would see so many cases of things that happen to a child that shouldn't,
Yeah.
because you alert them. You have to alert them of what's in their surroundings so that way they are prepared mentally.
Yes.
Should somebody that they shouldn't be hanging out with or someone is trying to kidnap them, if you let them know, listen, if you do this and mommy and daddy's not around and a stranger comes up to you and they ask you to go look for a little dog, don't do it
Yeah.
because this is what's going to happen. And
Yeah.
if you open their mind to that, then they know I don't need to talk to a stranger. They want me to look for their dog. Tell them for yourself. You know,
Yeah.
these little tidbits. Um, as far as being supportive of everybody, at the end of the day, we're all pretty much fulfilling people's fantasies.
Yes.
Whether you're fulfilling it via film, whether you're fulfilling it in person, whether you're a dominatrix, whether you're a cam girl, whether you're a fetish star, whether you're a porn star, whether you happen to be an escort, it doesn't matter, or a stripper.
Yeah.
You're fulfilling fantasies for people.
Yes. It's just like sex phone operators and texting operators. They are classified too. People kind of leave them out. Like those people are part of the fantasy too. I know plenty of people. Like I just had an interview with a sex phone operator and she was a submissive. like those people are a part of the sex industry too. Like just because someone isn't in person, it doesn't mean that they're not a part of the community.
Yeah, I mean, you're still doing something that fulfills somebody's fantasy. And I
Yeah.
think that a lot of problems occur within the industry because everyone is not united.
Yes.
Everybody's so busy bickering over who's making more money, who's making this kind of film, who's making that, instead of everybody being together. Because at the end of the day, when shit hits the fan, everyone is the same. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter, producer, it doesn't matter if you're talent. We're all in the same boat.
Yes. Completely agree. Completely agree. And I love that you look at it like that because that's how I view it as well. I feel like also there's people that I'm a dominatrix. So whenever I started, there were people that were kind of, I guess, super gatekeeping almost. They didn't want me to have the knowledge because they were kind of intimidated when I started out. And I was like, if the shoe was on the other foot, I would help you. So I had several people approach me and be like, will you help me get my start? And I'm like, yeah, I can help. I can give you a few pointers and stuff. But I mean, there's a difference in giving pointers and helping somebody that actually wants to put in the effort, and then the people that get in because they expect you to do all the work and they want to make a quick buck. Like, I'm not trying to help those people that think they're going to get rich in like one photo shoot. Like, they want to use me and my name to kind of elevate themselves. And I'm like, you're literally a civilian that just thinks that we make a ton of money and you just want to leech off of that. You don't love sex work. You don't want to be a part of it. It's not a part of you. You're just like, oh, let me sell these foot pictures or these ass pictures real quick and make me, $1,000. That's not how it works. Nobody wants to buy $1,000 ass pictures from people they don't know.
Yeah, that's one side of it, but also within our own industry, because you have people that they zoom right up to the top,
Oh
and
yeah.
there's people that are in between, and then there's people that are still low on the totem pole. And unfortunately, and because I have experience in this, unfortunately, there's also people that when they start out low on the totem pole, they befriend you because they see all the people that you know and who you work with, and they kind of want to be in the end.
Yeah.
I tell people, listen, if that's what you want to be networked with others that'll get you to where you are, just open your mouth and say it.
Yeah.
That way I can tell you, you talk to this person or that person. Don't freaking linger around me
Yeah.
pretending to be my buddy and my best friend when that's all that you want. Just
Yeah.
be honest. Tell me what you need from me and I'll give it to you.
Right. Yeah.
I don't have a problem with somebody coming up to me and saying, I want to work with this person and that person, but they won't give me the time of day, whatever. Well, let me see what you're good at.
Mhm.
Let me work with you first. Let me do a couple clips with you. Let me see how you work.
Yeah.
Are you time? Do you listen to direction? Do you give people a hard time on the set? I need to
Mhm.
know these before I can say to the person you really want to work with and say, hey, look, I recommend this particular model. They
Yeah.
did clips for me. Because I've run into a couple people where it's like they wanted something from me. They played themselves. Once they got what they wanted, then they want to like shit on you and
Yeah.
don't realize that the same way that they got what they got, it could be taken away.
Yeah. For
And not
sure.
not by me, because when people see that you do certain things to other people, they keep a list of it.
Yes.
And others just don't seem to grasp that concept.
Yeah. It's literally a fucking blacklist. Every model has a blacklist. Doesn't matter what kind of model you are, if you're into, I mean, I'm going to tell you from my own experience, whenever some kind of shit goes down on our end, DOMs know.
Yeah.
We let other DOMs know. It's like, this person is maybe not the best. Let's avoid them. Like, we tell people that because at the end of the day, consent and safety is fucking huge.
And let me tell you something, that with that whole consent thing, there's times where you are friendly with the person that you're working with, and they won't even bother asking you what your boundaries are.
Yeah, and that's so ridiculous.
And a lot of models used to tell me incidents that would occur. And because remember, I only started getting in front of the camera for certain clips not too long ago.
Right.
Everything was fine. And they would tell me about, all these incidents. I'm like, but why didn't nobody say anything? Why didn't you say something as you were filming? I didn't realize what they were going through mentally and emotionally until it happened to me.
Yeah.
Where I was filming something in Vegas with somebody that I'm close with,
Mm-hmm.
and without asking me, next thing you know, my bra is off. My bra was off quicker than a frat guy at a college frat party, the way that they remove a bra off a freaking drunken girl at a college frat party. That's how quick my bra came up. And I was like, oh my God. I didn't want to stop the camera at that point. So I just
Pressure.
continued. And I'm in my thoughts, I'm like, oh my God, you didn't even fucking ask me if I wanted my tits out. Now the world's gonna see these melons. Poor people. Poor
Yeah.
people are gonna be blinded now.
Yeah.
And I won't say the name, but she didn't ask me if I was okay with that. It didn't traumatize me or anything, but from that point on, now if people ask me, "Do you want to do something topless?" And then I'll be like, "Well, yeah, you know what? They're already out there. Might as well.
Right. Yeah.
Might as well."
The biggest thing though is people don't understand that just because you're there as a willing participant, it doesn't mean that you're going to be willing to be in whatever they have going on in their head, because you guys think differently. Maybe you showed up thinking that it was going to be this one vision and these other people have something completely different. That's why you talk. That's why you communicate and over communicate. Like that's one of the biggest things that I'm like, be sure you communicate. Like most people don't even know how to do that. They don't even know how to talk to you. You know what I
No.
mean?
And the funny thing is that once everything, then wait, it gets worse because then during that whole clip, there was even a point where she tried pulling down, had little shorts on, and I was like, "Oh hell no, this we're not doing." And I pulled them back up. Once we were done filming, I was like, "You didn't even ask me if you could expose my boobs." Oh, but they're out already. Was the response I got? And I'm like, "Yo, I can't believe I'm friends with you."
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck, you know?
Yeah.
But I can understand now situations now where the models will say, "Oh, well, the other talent did this to me and didn't even ask," because now I had an understanding
Yeah.
first from actually having it happen to me.
Right.
So I believe that when you start to film, even before you turn on that button and press that little button, that not only the producer, but the talent that you're using for that clip, everybody has to come to an understanding of what they do want to do and what they,
Yes.
you
I
know?
completely agree. So like, okay, let me ask you as a producer from your point of view, that kind of leads into my next question. Do you have like a checklist that you go through with everyone? Like hard limits, kind of soft limits, things you're willing to do, things you're not willing to do, kind of things that you could kind of be okay with if like there's chemistry. Like, do you have a list that you go over with them?
Well, depending on what we're filming, uh, it's just a wrestling clip.
Mhm.
I'll usually have like I do film some mixed wrestling, but mostly it's female versus female. Like I'll tell them, listen, you don't have to do topless. If there's a nip slip and you're okay with it, please note that I'm not going to edit it. So if you guys are okay with that, that's fine. If there's a nip slip and you don't want it on camera, yell cut so that I know that you have to adjust yourself and that's it. Uh, I always tell them, please tell each other what you do and what you don't do. So that way we don't have any kind of misunderstandings.
Mhm.
I had someone that went a little bit overboard while filming just a wrestling clip. Yeah. And I no longer hire that person.
Right.
You know, give you a quick little story. I had one particular model that was doing a comeback. Okay, so I was helping this model with the comeback. We went to a particular set, and the model that was there is also she's a dominatrix slash switch type of thing, and she said what her limits were. What's the first thing this model does? Exactly what she was told not to do. So we had to stop rolling at that moment. That was strike one. I was like, okay, maybe she was nervous, maybe she wasn't paying attention.
Right.
We go to another set where we had to shoot with a producer he's also talent as well. He basically just does a lot of wrestling. He specified certain things that cannot be done to his back what's the first thing she does? She messes with his back. That was strike number 2. Strike number 3 occurs with me, where I had someone else hold the camera and I was in the clip. Out of nowhere, this individual decides they want to bite my breast through my clothing. That's not part of the clip. Why are you doing this? That was strike 3.
Yeah.
And I was giving them a little bit of, leeway, because I was like, all right, the first 2 clips, I understood that maybe you were nervous.
Right.
The third, being a jerk because you know me and you thought it would be funny. But then the 4th time that an incident occurred, not only did they slap a female talent without asking if they could, when it wasn't part of the video, but then they proceeded to try to smother the talent with a pillow using a little bit of extreme force. So at that point, I was like, you're now a danger to my company. Everything that you've been doing all along, I kind of feel like it's sabotage on your end. Because if you continue to do this with all the talent that I'm introducing you to, then they're not going to want to work with me because of you.
Yes.
So I pretty much told the person, we're done.
Right.
We are done. We're no longer working together.
Right.
Why? Because you're not following everyone's comfort zone. You're not following the boundaries that they set.
Yes.
So
and that's huge. Like,
yeah.
That is huge. That's a violation on so many levels, because like, not only does it create an issue for you as a businesswoman, but it creates an issue for these people. They feel like they can't trust producers, or they can't trust other talent in the future. And they're like, well, I don't even want to work with anybody because everybody's just a shitbag when I try to work with them,
I had to pretty much at that point make an choice, and my choice was, you know what, I'm not working with you anymore. This just isn't working out for me, because you're doing all the things you were told not to do. And the best part is, when you would reprimand this person, they would turn around like if you had a problem and they didn't do anything. And I just can't work with someone like that.
Yeah. Well, it's one of those things where it sounds almost narcissistic. It's like they wanted everybody else to be like, "Oh, it was my fault. I'll accommodate you." Like, no, bitch, sometimes you have to be an adult. You have to be like, "Hey, maybe I was wrong. I apologize. Let me do better." But this person is repeatedly like just doing the opposite of what they were supposed to be doing. And it's like they were trying to push people's boundaries. Nobody wants to work with you if you like that. Like, and in all honesty, you don't need to be in the adult industry if you do shit like that. Like, you don't belong in our community, because you're a danger to other people as well as yourself in a situation like that.
And the sad part is that this person was going around claiming that they were a dominatrix. And in my head, I'm thinking, you're a dominatrix who can wrestle at the same time, but yet you're not listening to what is being told to you.
Yeah. Like, I'm going to tell you right now, if I were to pull that kind of shit on my clients, not only would it be a violation of consent first and foremost, and safety, because I mean, if someone doesn't feel safe in an environment like that, they're not going to keep coming back. And you're creating a negative experience that's probably going to cause them some kind of trauma.
Not only that, but it's like, there's nothing worse because we all know, all the producers, all the models, everybody talks to each other. We all know. Right? There's nothing worse than when somebody's trying to recommend you to go work with a producer, and then all of a sudden the model goes, "Oh yeah, but if she's working with so and so, you shouldn't work with her then, because that particular model, does this and that."
Yeah. Yeah. So it almost taints your name.
Yeah.
Your brand, your overall brand could be associated with this person.
And you know what's the funny thing? That a couple of months had passed after, like, I stopped working with this person, and I had another model that I normally work with, and she outright asked me, "Are you still working with so and so? Because if you're working with her, don't bring her, to come work with us." And I was like, "Oh no, I ain't working with that person anymore." Like, "Oh, perfect, then you can come."
Yeah.
You can. I was like, "All right, you live and learn."
Yeah, right. 100%. So that kind of leads me to my next question, kind of about the strengths, what kind of strengths do you feel you need to be successful as a producer?
You have to, first of all, be realistic that not every model that you want to hire is going to do your kind of content.
Mhm.
There was something not too the same week that just passed on Twitter where some models and a producer had a misunderstanding. Now we all follow each other, by the way, and I'm actually going to work with the two models coming up in 2023. Um, I do believe that both parties involved had a misunderstanding. Not saying one was right, one was wrong,
Right.
but the models don't do that particular content that this producer does. And I think that the producer should have just slightly worded things a little bit different to, for them and explain to them, listen, this is the content I do. If you can't do this content, then I cannot hire you. I'm sorry. And I don't think that that's the way it came across. So
Right.
I believe that all parties involved and had a dispute about it. Me personally, if there's somebody I want to hire and they don't do my content, then what I start doing at that point, and I really say I really want to hire this person, I then do like a full research of what they do. And then I'll go out to them and I'll ask them, listen, I know you don't do my content and I know you do this kind of content. How about if we shoot what you normally do for my store? That way I get to have you in my store.
Yeah.
Which is something quite actually that I'm going to have to do with this one particular model that I've been eyeing for a while. Amazon Amanda.
Mm.
She doesn't do my wrestling content, but I want to hire her because she is so tall. And I think that if somebody holds the camera for me and I'm in front of the camera with her, the fact that I'm so tiny and she's so tall, I think that would be like something that we could work on.
Right.
So I sit down and figure out what exactly kind of content she's willing to do for my company. So that way I can hire her.
Yeah.
In my case, I'm willing to adjust what I need to do for that particular model.
Right.
Whereas producers that, hey, if I'm only doing, let's say, tickle content and that's all I do, they won't bend for
Mm-hmm.
the model and say, okay, for you, I'm not going to just shoot tickling. I'm going to shoot whatever you want, ass smothering, for instance, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Has the ability to do that. Not everybody can do that, especially if your brand is about one particular genre within fetish or adult.
Yeah.
A little bit of everything. So therefore,
Yeah.
I can take that liberty and say, oh well, this shoot today is not going to be wrestling. It's going to be this because
Like
this is.
giantess or something. Yeah.
I haven't shot one of those. I want to shoot.
Oh, that's
Maybe
so good.
the idea. Maybe that's what I'll bring up to Amanda and be like, hey, I'll find you little tiny people and
Yeah.
you can step on them. Be the idea right now because I want her in my store.
Right.
I work a lot with a lot of the muscle goddesses. What do? I worship them with some coconut oil. Why the hell not?
Yeah.
So I'm willing to bend my rules as far as what I'm producing, depending on who the model is and what they bring to the table.
Right.
And like I said, unfortunately, not all producers can do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Some of them get like so extremely stuck in their niche that if they go outside of it, they lose so much that they're just scared to go outside of it. Because I know whenever I kind of evolved as a dominatrix, when my style kind of evolved, some of the people were kind of like, oh, well, you're not really doing what I like anymore. And I'm like, cool. Well, this is me growing as a person. And I can't always be what you want me to be. I'm just going to be myself and just see where the growth goes. But I mean, some people do get fixated on that one thing. And then when you don't provide it anymore, they go somewhere else for it. And I mean, that's part of the industry. That's part of how it works.
I already kind of know that my niche is pretty much going to be the wrestling, female fighting. Let's just put it that it's going to be pretty much the female fighting portion of it. But I also want to experiment with other things, so I just don't want to be just female fighting.
Right.
So I'm willing to explore other areas within the fetish community,
Yeah.
even with the adult stuff. And here's the thing with adult filming: adult is more tedious and more exhausting than filming fetish. And by fetish, I mean things that include the wrestling portion, the boxing portion, whether you're tying somebody up and spanking them, or they're just a regular good old damsel in distress.
Right.
Because more hours involved with adults.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're working with a male talent, first of all, there is no male on this earth that can pop, okay, 10 times within the hour.
Yeah.
If they're, please send them my way so I can hire them, okay? There are times where if you're working with the male talent, maybe he can't get hard. Now you can't shoot.
Yep.
Okay? So in those kind of instances, because you're relying on the male talent, you have to think to yourself, well, do I fake? Do I ask them to fake it? Will they have enough acting skills and ability to fake it? Females can fake it, but can male talent? And these are all things that go into that. Nobody wants to be on the set for 5 hours or 8 hours or 10 hours shooting adult. You don't even have that when you're shooting fetish. Like 4 hours, we're done.
Yeah.
We're done. That's the day. So when it comes to shooting adult, I'm a little bit like, do I want to do I want to do it? Don't I want to do it?
Right.
That's one stress factor. The other stress factor is testing.
Oh yeah. We got to open this can of worms.
Both, because they're working on a consistent basis, will be tested. Sometimes certain producers, if they really want the model to work for them, they'll go ahead and give them the $200 for them to go get tested. And now we have a situation where filming is being shut down until tomorrow. I think it is the 12th, right?
Yep. Yep.
There's people that have been faking their tests, and there's people that have been lying about their tests. And everybody's like, but how could that be? These are individuals that their livelihood relies on their body and performing with their body. How can they be so irresponsible? Well, I can tell you how it happens. Okay? The first way that it happens is, let's say you're shooting on Wednesday. So you go ahead and tell all your talent, you need to get tested by Monday because we're shooting on Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll use the example of Barbie and Ken. So Barbie and Ken go and they get talent tested on Monday. However, Ken does the right thing and he decides that he is going to be celibate until Wednesday when he's shooting, because that's what you're supposed to do.
Yes.
Okay. Barbie, on the other hand, is like, no, I just met 5 dudes on Tinder. I'm going to go hook up with them. She does.
Mm-hmm.
Then she runs in on Tuesday, runs into a friend that's also talent that wants to shoot something for her OnlyFans or for his OnlyFans, okay? Because it could be either or. Right. And she decides, fuck it, yeah, let me do it. Now Barbie shows up on the set on Wednesday. She hasn't been celibate, but Ken has. She proceeds to shoot with Ken because the producer already scanned in the database and said, oh yeah, you know, she took her test Monday, everything was good, everything got check marks, let's go ahead and shoot. A week later, Ken comes back and says, hey, not for nothing, but I've been pissing like fire. My penis feels like I'm shooting fire.
Yeah.
How could that be? Barbie was tested. Meanwhile, Barbie was gallivanting. That's one way that it happens.
Yeah.
Right? The other way that it happens, let's say you've been working with Barbie and Ken for like years now. They always come to the set clean.
Mm-hmm.
You always know that they test because they're working. Let's say Barbie and Ken are big name talent at this point. So you tell them to come on Thursday for a shoot. But you don't even bother looking at the database because Barbie and Ken, they're good for it. They're always tested. Little did you know that Ken, on the other hand, has been doing other things with other people that are non-talent. Ken has been partying on the side,
Yeah.
partying hard. Not a little bit of weed, not
Yeah.
a little bit of mushrooms. Ken has been hitting the H. He has
Yeah.
been hitting meth. He has been hitting coke. And when he's high like this as a kite, he pretty
You
much
don't know
puts
what happens.
anywhere, any hole that is available, he don't care.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden, you shot with Ken and Barbie. You believed that Ken was 100% clean. You believed that he had been testing on a regular basis. Turns out that Ken hasn't tested in 5 months.
Jeez. Yeah.
And now you have spread whatever Ken has all over the place.
Yeah.
And this is why we're having this situation now.
Yeah.
Where
I
news is
I
getting
was
done.
like, I was so amazed that it got so fucking bad. I follow this one model, and she said that she's literally had chlamydia 6 times. Like,
There's a model that probably you follow her too. She pretty much said that before she started doing adult film, that she was an escort and that she had never tested for STDs until she became a porn star. And you ask yourself once again, how is this possible when your career depends on your body parts? They need to be healthy and STD free in order for you to make money.
yeah, I would freak out. Like, I get paranoid, and my work doesn't even involve me fucking anybody, and I get paranoid. I'm like, I don't trust anybody. Like, I'm gonna tell you, if I have any kind of intimate relations with anyone, and I guess I don't trust people. I get issues with trust when it comes to that stuff. But I always make them test. I always test. And it's one of those things where my livelihood is, in the balance, even though I don't personally do porn like that. Maybe one day I might want to. But I guess it kind of gave me a scare. That whole situation kind of gave me a scare with getting into the adult film with
Yeah.
other talent.
And not only that too, but when you're in this kind of job, okay, and you're doing this, whether you're in the producer level or the model level, you kind of start dating within the
Yes.
industry.
Yes.
It's something that you can't. Do I
Right.
recommend it? End very badly, and I know that from experience too.
Yeah.
They don't. All of a sudden, you're a monster.
So actually, that brings me to a question that I was going to ask you. Did you ever run into any models that were just like completely insulted that you wanted them to get tested, that were just like scoffing, like?
I did have one. Okay, and the thing with this particular model is we're very close. Okay,
Oh
and
yeah.
they have tested on a regular before. I, like a dumbass, gave them money to get tested for the stuff that I needed them to do. They told me that they got tested, and because they're always getting tested and they happen to be a big name, I didn't bother to look at the database. Now, knock on wood, thank God they didn't give anything to anybody. But imagine my surprise when I happened to find out that they hadn't tested in months. That they hadn't tested in months.
That's
And I out of my way and gave them the money. It's like, here, get your coochie tested. Come
holy
back.
shit.
Okay. Oh, I tested it. Okay. I didn't bother checking, make sure that's what the money went to. And then I come to find out that they had it. So what did I do then as what I'm supposed to do as a responsible, not only producer, but friend of the person? I went and I contacted people that I knew that they had worked with because of me, whether it be because I was filming or because I networked them with that person in that time to make sure that they were okay.
Yeah.
And the thing is, there's even things that you test for today and they won't come out until 6 months from now. So you have to keep an eye on these things. So I did my due diligence. I did what was the responsible thing. And I just reached out to make sure that this is clean and that's clean because this is what's been going on. But yeah, you'll have people that'll, how dare you ask me to test? Well, here's the money. Go test yourself. You know?
I run across that with people in the industry that I want to film with, like other models. I run across it with clients. They're like just so upset that you asked them to get tested. And I'm like, this is the livelihood of both of us and everyone else that we come into contact with. How could you not? Like, some people see it as either shameful or insulting. If you want to be in this work, you should get tested regularly.
You should get tested right. Listen, before I was producing, before I was even going in front of the camera, when I was just a regular schmo, all right, and I was in my 20s and I was a fucking slut bag. I was a slut bag, okay? I used to get tested every 3 months.
Yeah.
Number one, I didn't want to get any diseases. Number two, I didn't want to get knocked up and then go home to my parents knocked up.
Right.
You know, these are all things that I took precautions with.
Yeah.
Because all at one time,
Yeah.
one time for it to happen. So it just baffles my mind how there's people within our industry that it's their livelihood
Yes.
and they refuse to get tested
Yeah,
or
it's
lie about the testing.
it's fucking beyond me too. Like, I would understand kind of more so if you were like the street worker kind of level and you're doing it because you don't have like any means of anything. It's like a survival kind of thing. And you don't have the money for testing, like that's kind of different. But if you're one of these people that you have the money, like what the fuck are you doing?
But here's the thing, even if you don't have money for testing, and let's say you can't afford the $200 to go to talent testing, the producer you're working for can't afford it either for whatever reason, there's free testing places.
Yeah.
They'll give you the printout.
I think the health department does.
Yeah.
I think the health department does.
Give you a printout. You could bring that printout with you, you know, and you could tell the producer or the model you're working with, look, I couldn't afford the $200, but I went to my local doctor and here's my actual test. You
Yeah.
can call up and confirm that this is me.
Yeah.
You know, because it's all the same. It's all the same
Yeah.
test.
Yes.
So I mean, there's no excuse for someone not testing.
Yeah.
You know,
Exactly.
there's no excuse. You can go to the regular doctor and get tested too. Need to go that route because you don't have the money to go to the talent testing.
Yeah.
There's even now a new talent testing place called Clear that's giving people discounts,
Mhm.
you know, for you testing with them. And I believe their price is supposed to be less than
Mhm.
talent. You can go to them. And if they
That'd be
don't have
nice.
state and city, like I said, go to your regular GYN.
Yeah.
Go to free clinics. Say, hey, look, I need to get tested for all STDs.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember I'm pretty sure a little while back the health department in the area had some kind of flyer or something that I seen that they do like a sliding scale maybe. Like if you don't have the money to pay for it or if you can only pay so much, they kind of help you with that. And that's really fucking awesome.
Yeah. And another issue too, a lot of people say that they don't have insurance.
Mhm.
Um, you can apply for the state insurance. You know, a lot of times they will give it to the, you know, to the person that's applying for it. You can get tested with that.
Right.
You know, you can, again, you can go to the free clinic, you can go to the GYN and get tested.
Yeah.
It's never an excuse to not get tested.
Yes.
And or not, even though people don't talk about it, AIDS is still around.
Yeah.
There might be medications to help you live a little longer, but it's still around. It's like all of a sudden people have forgotten
Yeah.
that that's something that's still out there.
You know, the craziest thing happened whenever there was just like the complete saturation to like OnlyFans. It was like everybody thought that everybody was just out fucking and not getting tested. And all these people from OnlyFans had like syphilis and all this other shit whenever they were doing like meetups for content trades. Like these people that had no knowledge of the community just thought everybody that was prominent in the community was just fucking everybody and not getting tested. Like if you want to get into something like that, you got to know what you need to do. Like just to be a responsible human and get tested. Like you don't even have to be fucking talent. But then there was like just a huge saturation on OnlyFans. And I remember people having like a bunch of photos that they were sharing around from people that were hooking up together just for OnlyFans. And then later everybody get contracting syphilis because of it. And it was just like, my jaw hit the floor. I was like, why would these people get into something and not understand that to have sex, you have to be smart about sex? Like,
Because unfortunately, there's people that don't have common sense. Though, as the saying goes, not everybody has the same level of common sense, which is very. But you're having sex. It doesn't matter whether you're doing it for profit or not. You have to be safe. You have to be smart. Once again, it's your livelihood.
yes.
So you have what you can in order to protect it. I know someone, okay, that's a porn star. Their livelihood, once again, is their body.
Right.
Person goes on Tinder on a regular basis, fucks random people on Tinder, doesn't get tested. She doesn't ask them to get tested. So she's taking a risk, meaning if you got to shoot in a couple of weeks and yet you've banged like 10 people off of Tinder without them getting tested, now you're putting yourself at risk. You could have caught something. So now when you go to talent testing and they tell you, hey, guess what? You can't film because you got this and this and this. You brought it upon yourself.
Yeah.
You know, and you on Tinder, you don't have to tell people what you do for a living. But if they want to get freaky with you on that first date, here, hand them a condom.
Yeah.
Put a raincoat on it or you ain't going to get any of this rain. That's it.
Yeah. For real. Like, it is beyond me how many people are not okay with, like, I understand there are a lot of situations, kind of like we were talking about earlier, whenever you have that pressure. So maybe you're mid moment and, you know, you're getting involved, and then this person is like, oh, yeah, I don't use condoms. And then you feel like pressured to be like, okay, well, I don't usually do this, but just one time. That one time is all it fucking takes.
All it takes for you to contract a STD. That's it.
Yeah. And you could literally, okay, not just get like STI or something, but you could literally die.
Yeah.
Like,
oh, yeah.
Death as a result. And some of these people just, they don't think anything of it. They're like, oh, well, the one time it'll be okay. No, there are plenty of people that say that whenever they're teenagers and end up pregnant. Just one time. You can't get pregnant after. Yeah, you can. Like, it's beyond me. So, kind of talking about you networking and you having your schedule and everything. What does a day for you look like? Like, whenever you are in producer mode, or I know you started doing more promotion and you're trying to kind of get involved in the community now. Like, what does a day for Lady O look like?
A day for Lady O is very exhausting.
Yeah.
Especially if I have to shoot right after I have been at my day job. Because now that I've been in regular work mode, I all of a sudden at once 6 o'clock hits, and let's say I have to shoot at 8 o'clock, I have to prepare myself mentally for what I'm going to shoot. I got to make sure that I have my equipment with me.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm going somewhere where there's not lighting provided, I got to make sure I have that in my car. I got to make sure that I have all those things and outfits in case I happen to be one of the people that is going to be in front of the camera as well.
Right.
I got to make sure that I have everything in line. If I'm shooting on a weekend, then it's a lot easier for me because all I concentrate then on at that point is the shoot.
Mm-hmm.
You also have to be prepared for if people show up late. You got to be prepared if someone flakes. You got to be
yeah.
Last minute calls you and says, hey, I'm not feeling well. I'm not going to make the shoot. So now you have to either you have to throw yourself in there and be part of the shoot because now you don't have the extra model, or you have to start running around seeing who's available that's local that you can use for this particular shoot on such a short notice. So it could be very, very exhausting.
Yeah.
But once you're done shooting, it's been a fun experience and everybody. Like I always say when I start my shoots, we're not here to hurt each other. We're here to have fun and make some bucks.
Yeah, hell yeah.
And that's pretty much my consensus. Like I don't like, even with the experience of that one model that became a little bit too aggressive in certain situations, that put me in a bad mood because now the shoot is not fun. And I do this to have fun. Like this is
Right.
fun. You know, you get to meet different people of different walks of life and you're having fun. You're producing, you're creating something that's going to make someone out there happy.
Yeah.
And that's all that it's about. It's about us fulfilling people's fantasies and making them happy. Like
Yeah.
I don't even believe in the whole thing where people try to bring politics and world issues into the industry, because once again, when fans come and they go to our websites and they go to our clip stores, they want to escape everything that's happening in the world. They want to escape their lives.
Yeah.
They want to come to us so that we can make them happy.
Right.
Nobody wants bullshit about politics. Nobody wants to hear shit about what's going on, you know, with the world and wars and shit. Nobody wants to hear that shit.
Yeah.
They come to us to escape.
Right. Yes, 100%.
You know? Therefore, we're here to fulfill fantasies, kind of like Mr. Rourke on Fantasy Island. We're here to fulfill people's fantasies.
Yes.
That's it. That's the bottom line.
And that's
So
the beautiful thing, because you can literally create whatever you want. You know?
within reason.
Oh
See,
yeah.
everybody has their boundaries as to what they're willing to film.
Right.
Anything that has animals, fuck no, I'm not filming it.
Right.
Anything
Yeah.
age of 18, you better get the fuck away from me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, anything where somebody's self-mutilating themselves, no, because
Right.
that doing self-harm to themselves, and we already know that there's a mass amount of people that they're not 100% okay. So if you show them that
Yeah.
kind of, they're going to want to mimic it, and
Yeah.
that's a big no. I know that there was like a big controversy with race play. It's all around us. It's not about white or black.
Yep.
You could have a film where it's a Spanish maid, and she's wearing her cute little maid outfit, and she's got a big butt. Guess what? That's race play.
Yes. Yes.
Time you have interracial porn, that's race play.
I feel like most people don't understand that porn is literally a type of therapy. And the different kinds of therapy are for the different kinds of people. Like some people are into feet because, you know, maybe they had an aunt that they really liked their feet and they just, you know, developed a taste for that. Maybe they suffered some kind of extreme abuse as a kid. And then in that, they need to walk through that to turn it into something positive instead of something negative. I mean, I had experience with that myself. I'll tell you, I am a dominatrix through and through. Well, whenever I was younger, I actually had an individual that I told I wasn't going to be his friend. This was when I was in, it was third or fourth grade. I can't remember exactly, third or fourth grade. I'm playing on the playground with this kid, and he is being really, really rude, talking really fucking bad, talking about pussy and shit. No kid at that age should be talking about pussy and what they want to do to you. So like I tell him, I can't be your friend because the way you're talking, like I can't associate with people that talk like that. And he's like, what do you mean? And I was like, well, unless you change the way you talk to me, I can't be your friend. So he gets angry and chokes the fucking life out of me, right? I'm literally laying down, blacking out. I don't even remember what happened. And all of a sudden, he's just off of me. Well, I didn't know what happened because I literally blacked the fuck out. I got choked the fuck out. And the teachers never even came. So I don't know why he got off of me, but like I didn't know what the fuck happened. And then I wake up and then I'm looking around and shit's foggy as hell. I'm like, what the fuck? And then I make my way to the front office and I call my parents and tell them what happened. The teacher said they didn't even see anything. The only way they knew that it happened was because other kids seen it.
Oh, wow. Or supervision.
Yeah. So with the things that I am into now, smothering and choking is one of my biggest fetish. And it's because it came from that moment of me being completely powerless, completely just not having anything and thinking that I'm going to fucking die, to me being able to control the environment and make it something healthy. You know, in that moment, I can control it. I can feel my way through it. I can let somebody that I trust assist and either be the one being choked or I can be the one receiving. And for me, it's a form of me finding a way to be okay with what happened when I was powerless. You know, most people don't understand that. Like with the race play, maybe somebody was extremely humiliated and they want somebody in a controlled environment to help them through that, to help them feel better, to help them associate it with positive things that they can get excited about instead of, you know, feeling like they're a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Like, it's a beautiful thing. Like, fetish and kink are a beautiful thing. And I will keep preaching over and over how they're a form of therapy. Like, I truly in my soul feel like without that, there's a lot of us that will be a lot worse off.
Yeah. That is very true. That is very true. And not only that, but people already from the outside world, they have such a stigma towards people that are in the industry. So why should we be policing ourselves and our own content? You know, you create the kind of content you want. I create the kind of content I want. They create the kind of content they want. There is no one that has the power to turn around and say, hey, you shouldn't be doing that content. You should be doing what I do. No.
Yeah.
That's why technically we are all content creators. We all create what we like.
Yeah.
What sells for us, what our fans like, what we feel in doing.
Yeah.
Not, not way around. And unfortunately, there's people with industry that they want to police the work that we do.
Yeah.
They want to police what hashtags we use. They want to police what models we use in our films.
It's like they want to make cliques. They want everybody to have their own clique and they want everybody to be separated so they can control it.
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing is that that's not the way it works.
Yeah.
I as a producer, just like let's say you as a producer or as talent, if there's something that you don't feel comfortable with, you don't have to film it. If someone wants to hire you for something you don't feel comfortable with doing, no matter the amount of money, you have the right to say, no,
Yes.
I don't feel comfortable, doing that particular clip. I'm sorry. Yeah, the money's good, but I'm sorry. I don't want to do it. That's it. You don't need to go off on Twitter and curse the person out because of the content creating. Yeah. Just the reverse. If you need money, you need work, they present you with a particular clip that you normally wouldn't do, but the money's good and you need to pay your bills that particular month, you say yes and you do it. That's it. You completed the clip, you got paid.
Yeah.
Life goes on.
Yeah. And you shouldn't be talking hella shit about somebody because you chose that.
Yeah. And that's the problem that's been going on lately. I've been noticing since I would say since maybe May or August, where it's like there's people seeing other people's content. Yeah. My whole thing is if you don't like that person's content, then just scroll, keep scrolling.
Yeah.
And that's it. We all do our own thing. We all are content creators and we create whatever content we like. Yes. And it's unfortunate. It's a very unfortunate situation. You even have cliques now forming where people will only work with certain people.
Yeah.
Because they share either a particular culture or a particular language or a particular, and they only want to stick to themselves and working with that particular group, and everybody else is off the list.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing that a lot too. And I think that's kind of messed up too, because we're all united, And another thing I want to point out is there is a union for the adult industry. Um, there's also pineapple support, for people that do have certain mental issues that they're working through. However, I do believe that we need a little bit more than just the union and pineapple support. I do believe that we need an organization that helps not only talent but producers as well when you are about to reach a certain breaking point.
Yeah.
Or you get sent off to go through counseling through Pineapple. There has to be a group that intervenes while you're having your breakdown due to whatever mental issue you have, so they can get you better and then put you in contact with Pineapple. I also think that we should have an organization that helps performers and producers when you see that they're about to spiral or they are spiraling because they're using hardcore drugs.
Yeah.
There should be something somewhere where you can go and get help, some kind of outlet. You need something, because I see many performers, a lot of the ones that we actually follow, in our mutual of ours, that have great and amazing talent, but unfortunately somewhere along the way they've been introduced to hardcore drugs and they can function. They don't know, they don't have the ability to say, hey, I'm only going to do this on the weekend that I don't have any work to do, and I'm only going to do it that one day. No, it's getting to the point where it's every day that they're using, to the point where you see their appearance has changed. They're no longer picking to get jobs, so they're not really working. And then the fans will start going to their website and to their page and say, hey, where's so and so? So and so is lost right now.
Yeah.
And there's no way that we can help them or save them, because when it comes to that particular thing, the person themselves has to want help.
Exactly.
And I'm one of these people that I like to help everyone, even people that I know in the end are not going to be appreciative of the fact that you're helping them.
Yeah.
Me, that's the way I am. And because of this, I feel that we need a little bit more.
Right.
Because there's so many talented people that fall through the cracks right in front of us, and we don't realize what has happened to them until it's too late.
Yeah.
I
And
think
it could be something like one of those situations like we were talking about. Like maybe they were forced to do something on set that they weren't okay with, and mentally that was the breaking point. And I mean, I see that kind of shit happen, and you can't escape what's in your head. Like whenever something happens to you mentally and there's just that fucking barrier, you can't escape what's in there. That's one reason why so many of us do need therapy and do enjoy therapy. It's because mentally there's something that we have to work through. And not everybody can be like, oh, this is what happened to me. Maybe somebody did work with like a really high name producer and they're scared to be like, oh, well, this happened under their watch, because they could get, they could get completely, their whole career could go to shit for that.
And you also have situations too, believe it or not, where there are producers, let's be honest, there are producers out there that are total shitbags, but there's also models out there that are total shitbags.
Yeah, 100%.
You'll have the producer will tell you, if you do this for me, I'll make sure that you always have work and that you'll work for this person and that person. You have models that'll come to a producer and say, well, I'll work for you and I'll do this and that for you. And if you don't give me what I'm demanding, then I'm going to turn around, go on Twitter and say that you assaulted me, that you did this and that. And it's an unfortunate situation, but it happens both ways.
Yes, it does.
And I think that now with everything being on social media, sometimes people do take a little bit advantage of that, because they'll accuse you of doing something. And then there's people that will fight back and there's people that don't. And then if you fight back and you're showing receipts and showing proof that you're innocent, all of a sudden you've become a bully because you're defending yourself. No, I'm just fucking defending myself.
Yes, right. 100%.
And if you don't say anything, then all of a sudden, oh, the fact that you didn't open your mouth and defend yourself, then the allegations must be correct. So no matter what you do, whether you're guilty or not, you're fucked either way.
Yes.
So it's like, what can you do in that kind of situation?
Yeah.
But I want to make it very clear, it's not just producers that do fucked up shit. Sometimes the models do fucked up shit too.
Yeah, for sure. I actually I've had several models that I wanted to work with be like, well, I don't need a test because you should just trust me. And I'm like, no, like that's sketchy ass bullshit. I ain't trying to do that. I ain't trying to do that. But they're like, it's one of those situations where people are just so selfish. They don't understand that it's not just them. Like, it's not just you that's in this. It's the other talent around you. It's the producer that's around you. It's the person that's promoting you whenever they're like, oh, yeah, I vouch for this person. This person does great work. Well, if something like that comes out, then you're literally affecting each one of those people individually. It's not just you, and it's not just the person you're having sex with. It's all these other people too. Like, you're literally fucking it up for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
And all you have to do is be honest.
People don't understand that. Or if you have someone that, let's say, has the kind of personality where they're constantly always complaining about something, or they're constantly always fighting about like the most random little thing, it gets to a point where people don't want to hire you because they find you to be problematic.
Yes.
So one has to like consider and take to consideration pretty much what battles you do fight and what battles you don't. Like,
right.
I'm a loud mouth. I'm a loud mouth. Somebody does something to me, I will respond to it. But now that I'm a producer and I'm at a certain level, there's times where somebody will start something and I just like ignore them.
Yeah.
Because the other thing you got to factor into this, when somebody starts a situation with you online, you got to take a step back and see where they're at. Because a lot of times it's someone that either they need to stay relevant, so therefore they will start picking on you, so that way they can get traffic their way.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
So one has to think about that. Do I want to give this person a free promotion by sending traffic their way because they want to fight with me? Or do I just leave them hanging so that people can see how dumb they are?
Yeah.
These are now choices that I have to make, because everybody knows, hey, if you say a certain thing, LadyO will react to it. So I've learned along the way to just let it be.
Yeah.
It be, because it's just not worth it.
Right. Yes, I completely agree. So that kind of, whenever we were talking about a moment ago, kind of the situations where you feel that you're not in the best state, or maybe you're in an environment where someone doesn't express things to you that they should before they happen. That kind of leads me to my next question. So besides someone pulling your bra off, have you ever been in like a situation where you felt like your health was at risk in some way, whether it was mentally, physically, emotionally?
Yes, and I wasn't shooting at the time.
Okay.
Happened most recent. I'm not going to name names, but I had a friend that was experiencing a mental situation,
Okay.
and and I wanted to seek help for them, and without really realizing, because I was in help mode, I kind of put my predicament where the person was in a rage and having a fit,
Yeah. Okay.
and building a golf club in their hand.
Oh shit.
Okay. Building the golf club in their hand, my mind, I'm thinking, oh shit, I'm gonna have to take this bitch down. This is not gonna end well. Luckily, I didn't have to do that.
Mm-hmm.
The police did arrive on time, and by that time that the police knocked on the door, she no longer was wielding that golf club. She had calmed down a couple of notches.
Yeah.
They spoke to her, and they handled the situation. But for that split second, I was thinking to myself, wow, I could totally see the headlines now. This is how I wind up on Discovery ID. Female producer, mother of one, bludgeoned to death by Mexican car.
Oh.
we do put ourselves in situations that we don't realize what we're doing at that moment until it's, because looking back at that particular situation, I was there to help someone because they were my friend, but at the same time, I was putting myself in danger,
Yes.
not realizing it.
Yes.
Something like this happens again, will I fly all the way out to help the person like I'm Wonder Woman? Probably not.
Right. Yeah.
I'll probably think twice about it because it was too close. It was too close to me, to such an extent that I haven't been my usual self since it didn't happen, to the point where I can't focus on the things that I normally would focus on.
Right.
You know, I mentioned to you, I've been advertising for a whole week my Ninja Time video. Turns out that's not the video that was going to be released. I totally missed the fact that it's this upcoming Friday that's going to be released. What was that due to? The fact that I'm not focused 100% on what I'm doing because I'm still thinking about the situation that happened a couple months back. And it's done a number on me.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, we can curse on your show, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Fuck yeah.
I've been totally fucked up since that whole situation. Like I can't fucking focus. I snap out of it because the year's about to end and there's things that I gotta produce and promote that have to be out there. And I've pretty much been backed up in all the things I have to do because I'm still stuck in thinking about what occurred.
Yeah. I feel like mental health is something that the United States as a whole just kind of ignores and pushes under the rug. And then you get into the community with all these people that they do have things that they need to work on. Like all of us have things we need to work on, but I mean a lot of people get into the community because they have a trauma and they're trying to help something be productive of that trauma, and then they don't get the attention that they need in cases like this happens. And I mean that's a health risk for everybody involved. Like that could have turned out really bad.
Like I said, I'm not going to name names, right?
Yeah.
But the situation was everybody was getting ready to go to sleep. It had been a long, excruciating day.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, I hear this person on their cell phone telling an operator that there's someone breaking in to the townhouse that we were staying at. The townhouse was in a secluded community that you needed a gate key in order to get into the community. There was cameras inside the house and outside the townhouse that we were staying at. There was no one breaking in at that moment. Absolutely no one. But because the person was in the state of mind that they were, they kept the operator that there was somebody breaking in. So I witnessed as this person ran down the stairs, ran to the back door, ran to the front door, opened both doors, and continued to tell the operator there's somebody breaking in. Whereas I'm in the background saying there is no one breaking in. Go the fuck to sleep. Take your medication.
Right.
It turned into a whole fucking scene. It was a whole fucking scene that even to this day, I'm still like, wow. And I have to say, the cops were very nice.
Yeah.
Had the incident happened here in New York, I don't think they would have been that nice.
Yeah.
Cops, we all talk about how cops are assholes. Yes, some cops are assholes, some aren't.
Right.
And guys that came to, this particular situation that was happening at that moment, they were very nice. They actually took the time to take me outside and explain to me everything that was going on,
Right.
what they couldn't do, and that kind of thing. And I actually felt a little bit safer speaking to them because of what was going on throughout that whole day with my particular friend, their situation. And things could have escalated to something else had they not come.
Yeah, for sure.
Because that whole thing, it's like, what do you do in that situation where someone is so bent on saying that someone is breaking into the house when there is no one because they're imagining it in their head? What do you do?
Yeah.
How do you make the person snap back into reality. Obviously, you can't grab them and smack them around, which would be our action, because that's not going to help the situation.
Yeah.
You yell at them, hey, because that's not going to help. So I pretty much was like on the mercy of God, if there is a God out there, and the cops at that moment.
Yeah.
And it must have been somebody watching over me, because like I said, despite the fact that they were wielding a golf club, they didn't come anywhere near me with it. Like I'm in the bottom of the stairs, they're in the little hallway that's there, wielding it around, yelling and screaming, and they didn't come close enough that I didn't have to react to it.
Right.
And like I said, miraculously, all of a sudden the golf club, nowhere to be found as soon as the cops rang the doorbell.
Yeah.
So it was scary. It was a very scary situation.
Fuck yeah. So that is like wild all on its own, because not only is this person kind of like emotionally unstable, but that leads you to be emotionally unstable, and then that can like go crazy for both of you, because you're going to have different reactions and everything else that's going on. And I mean, fight or flight can make you do some pretty crazy shit.
Like I was telling you, I was in my mind already thinking to myself, well, I'm gonna have to like do this to take the golf club away from them. I'm gonna have to hurt them. And now I'm thinking, oh man, this is gonna turn so ugly.
Yeah.
So ugly.
For no reason. I'm glad it didn't. I'm glad it didn't.
Addict that it didn't, because I was like, holy shit, But at the end of the day, I did all that I could in order to help this person. And at the end of the day, it's up to them.
Yes.
Whether they choose help or not.
Yes.
And when the situation involves not just mental health, but then it turns out that there's other factors involved as well, there's only so much you can do.
That's right. That's right. And that all kind of goes back to traumas that we experience. Like, well, that goes into the next question I actually have for you. So people react differently to trauma. You and I both know this. We, just like with her reaction, it was a little bit different than what your reaction would have been. So with people reacting differently, some people get into like negative hard shit, like drugs and shit. And then other people get into, maybe they use sex, maybe they use fetish, maybe whatever trauma they experienced. It's like they needed something to help them through that trauma or to mask that trauma. So with my next question, was there anything that was kind of from your childhood, maybe or being a teenager or early adulthood, that kind of affected you in some kind of traumatic way?
I wouldn't say that it affected me in a traumatic way, but it kind of falls into my liking so much women having power.
Okay.
Over everyone. My mom was a very dominant individual.
Okay.
Mother would snap at the drop of a dime. You could just look at her the wrong way, and all of a sudden my mother would beat the living crap out of you. No explanations asked. So with that mindset, you're like, wow. Like, yeah, she's a bully, but at the same time, she's got the power. She's the powerful one.
Yeah.
So I think that kind of like gave me that whole thing where it's like why I want my videos to be women are the ones dominating.
Mm-hmm.
Like very rare in any video that has a guy in it that you see that the guy is winning. It's always the females that are winning. Always the females are dominant. I guess you could say I'm a sexist in that perspective, because I'm willing to allow certain things if it's a female that asks versus if it's a male.
Right.
And that comes from my mom being a very dominant individual.
Right. Yeah.
That affected me.
Yeah, for sure. And so with seeing that dynamic kind of growing up, did her and your father have a different dynamic? Was he dominant as well, or was he more submissive? Was he switchy?
My dad around my mom, he would just shut his mouth.
Okay.
And in regular life, my dad was pretty much he would like fight people on the dime. He would try to talk to them first.
Right. Yeah.
They didn't listen. Then it would become a fisticuffs situation. Okay. But around my mom, he just kept his mouth shut.
Yeah. Okay.
Because she was the boss.
Right. Nice. Okay. So let's go back to kind of childhood. Whenever you were younger, did you have any aspirations? Like, what did you want to be when you got older?
Don't laugh, but I wanted to be Miss Universe. And then I realized I wasn't tall enough.
Oh, come on, come on.
I wasn't tall enough. I wasn't tall enough. And it was one of those messed up things. Like I would watch the pageants with my
Mhm.
mom. I was like, yeah, I want to be Miss New York, and then I want to be Miss Universe. First, wait, I want to be Miss New York, Miss America, and then Miss Universe. My mother turns around, you're not tall enough.
Oh,
You're never going to be tall enough. And I'm like, God damn it.
well, I
That,
love it.
that went out the window.
What was it about Miss Universe? What drew you in?
I kind of went, well, you know, I was a kid. So I kind of felt that when you become Miss Universe, you're like the woman of the world.
Yeah.
World is your oyster. You are Miss Universe.
Yeah.
You could pretty much do anything because you're Miss Universe, which is not true.
Right. Right.
But to a 4-year-old, you know, at that time, or 5-year-old, you're like, yeah, this chick, man, she rules the world because she's Miss Universe. No, she's not. She's not ruling anything.
Yeah.
The crown is probably even fake too. No, but when you're a little kid, like the stupidest things that pop into one's little head is like, what?
But it's a beautiful dream though. I like it. I like it. So, I got one last question for you. So, whenever we were talking about kind of screening and stuff earlier, how you go through the process of your models and stuff. So, what kind of safety measures do you take when you're selecting someone, and how do you choose someone to work with?
Well, depending on the content that I'm going to produce at that moment, if it's a wrestling themed content or a boxing themed content, um, I particularly look for girls that I know have some sort of wrestling skill, even if it's like grappling. They don't have to be pro wrestlers in order
Right.
to do. Um, I look for that. I look for the fact: are they too aggressive on the set? Do they direction? And now I've got to be like extra on that and emphasize that extra due to the situation that I had
Right.
with that one model. Um, that's one factor I look at. If it's a fetish video that involves bondage, I try to look for a model that I know has a good rapport, one that's okay with getting tied up, one that can handle it for like, you know, like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, that kind of thing.
Right.
Someone that's okay with being ball gagged and doesn't have a problem with it. I look for that. Uh, if I'm going to shoot something that's adult, now due to everything that's going on, I don't care now how close of a friend I am with the person. I don't care if I happen to be dating the person. I will now make it a point to check the database before they come on the set and while they're on the set before I press the button.
Yeah.
Because we're at a moment now where we can't even trust each other.
Yeah.
Because there's some people that, my God, they are so wonderful and so fabulous when it comes to using Photoshop that they will completely even fake the little freaking scan code.
Yeah.
So you have to physically get on the database and check. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. I also ask other models that have worked with particular models or producers, you know, what's their feedback of working with them. Pretty much the same kind of thing that one does when you're going to take a session where you'll ask for the references. I won't outright ask the model, who have you worked for? I'll quickly look to see who they've worked with. I'll go onto their page, see their clips, contact the producer or the model that they've worked with and ask them, hey, how was it working with so and so? You know, was it fun? Did they, you know, did they listen to direction? You know, how much skill do they have in this particular, you know, thing that I want them to shoot, whether it be the wrestling or the foxy boxing or whatever it is.
Right.
Catfighting, for instance. Over the summer, I was supposed to produce a 4-way cat fight. I had to cancel the fight. Number one, because there were other situations that occurred. Plus, one of the people that was supposed to be in it was the model that I decided to no longer work with. I am going to produce a new cat fight. This one's just going to be 2 people fighting, not the 4-way I originally wanted to do. And I'm going to do this in 2023.
Okay.
I will teaser as to who is one of the people that's going to be in the cat fight. I haven't dropped any more teasers as to who's their opponent. But I am going to bring forth this cat fight due to the fact that the cat fight fans have been thirsty and wanting to see a 4-way cat fight that I was supposed to produce, but I could not at that moment. So I got to give them.
Right.
Have to give them something. When you're looking for a person for a cat fight, you got to make sure that the model understands that they're really going to be fighting. It's not going to, they're going to have to fight for like a whole 20 minutes. Yeah, they will get a break in between 10 minutes so they can breath, but it's a full on. You got to make sure that the models that you pick understand that they might have some bruises after the fight. They might have some scratches. If they have to perform for another producer during that week, they got to keep in mind they might show up bruised up.
Yeah.
So these are all things that factor into that. So you got to ask them outright, do you know that this is going to be a real fight?
Right.
Are you going to be bruised? Will this be okay for you when you have to show up on the set to work with another producer?
Right.
Because this will last on you for at least a week. You will have scratches on your boobs should your opponent scratch you.
Right.
So you can't go like that onto the set of Brazzers because, hey, who wants to see bruised up breasts, you know?
Yeah.
So these are things that when you pick girls to do a cat fight, they must understand. So you got to ask them a series of questions.
Yes.
So basically, I check the references now, and I ask them a series of questions to make sure that they understand what they're doing. And lastly, if it's adult, now we got a triple check.
Yeah.
No more, you're my buddy. I've known you for like 5 years. We hang out. No.
Yeah.
No.
For sure. For sure. And that's one of those things where, I mean, kind of like in real life, in like the civilian world, people that are your friends or people that are family, those are going to be some of the people that fuck you over too. It's not just like strangers. Like they could fuck you over first.
Oh yeah. I've also had situations where I've been like super close with someone and they felt entitled to certain things.
Oh yeah.
Because of it. And it's like, no, we're working right now. You know, when Lady O presses that button, she's your boss at that moment. You gotta listen to me. When the button is pressed again and everything is finished and we finish rolling, then yeah, I become your friend again and you could be a dickhead. But in the meantime, while I'm pressing the button and I'm behind that camera and I'm your boss, you can't be a dickhead to me. Otherwise, you know, I won't hire you again.
Right. Yes. 100%.
I think that when someone is very friendly with you, best buds, they don't seem to understand that concept. So they'll throw a little tantrum if they don't get their way.
Yeah.
And that kind of thing. There was one particular person I was very, very close with. And they had a little moment where it's like I was supposed to film 3 clips. And then once I was done filming those 3 clips, because we still had a little bit of time left, they were going to be allowed to do whatever they wanted and utilize that particular studio. And they were upset because they could not understand the concept of you can't shoot what you want right now because I still have 2 more clips I need to shoot. Once I'm done shooting, being that I'm the producer for the day, then you can go ahead and utilize this. And they threw a tantrum over that. I also have, I don't know if you've had this on your sets where sometimes somebody will ask you if they could bring a person, you know, and you have to choose, you know, yes or no. If I say no, it's no. There's no, and you know, guilt tripping me into saying yes. There's no you getting annoyed because I said no. And I had that too. Most of the time I'm very lenient. And what I'll do is I'll give the person that they bring a job to do.
Yeah.
Today, your job is to hold my phone and take pictures of what's going on. That's going to be your job since you're here.
Right.
So I don't mind allowing other people onto the set as long as they're over 18.
Yeah.
But if I say no for whatever particular reason, and I tell you no, you can't bring this person or that person, don't get upset about it.
Right.
Just understand that no means no for that particular moment. And I had someone, they wanted to bring a friend. There was no space for me to have this extra friend on the set. And I explained that. Plus, it was right after, we're still in the whole COVID mode. So I was like, look, there's already 12 of us here at once. I don't see a space for this particular person to come in onto the set. Maybe you could leave them in the green room, or maybe, you could just leave them at home and they can come after. But right now I have no room for them, and there's 12 of us. And the said friend got very upset with me.
Yeah.
Angry because, quote unquote, I wouldn't allow them to bring their friend. I said no.
Yeah.
And that was my whole thing. I said no to you. Just look at the situation we're in. I'm the boss right now. You're the employee. I'm saying no, and you got to listen to what I'm saying to you.
Right.
I don't talk to this person anymore, by the way.
Yeah.
And it was beyond anything I could imagine. Because I'm like, all I said was no, you can't bring them to this particular shoot. Why are you questioning me? Why are you making a scene? No is no.
If it was about the person just being there for moral support, they could have literally stayed in the car. Like, they don't have to be in there if there's no fucking room.
Yeah. And like I said, there was 12 of us at that time shooting, and it was like a big wrestling shoot, and there was 12 people all moving around at the same time, which meant that I had to be with the camera going around.
Yeah.
In order for me to capture all 12 people at once.
Yeah.
Once. The other person being there in that small space was going to cause a problem for me, because if I have to move this way and they're standing there, they're in. So I just did not see a purpose of the extra person being there.
Right.
And
I mean, there's a lot of people that want to bring someone with them. And I mean, that's not a big deal. Like, if there's room and it's for your safety, like you feel like you need someone there, cool. Like, people like us, we don't give a fuck. But if it is one of those things where someone else's safety or our performance can be in danger, it's just like I tell those people, yes, you can bring this person, but if you bring them and they fuck my work up, you're not getting paid.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I say up front.
I'm going to have to use that line for the next situation. But yeah,
that's exactly what I told them. I'm
usually very cool with them bringing someone else. Because like I said, I'll give them the task of taking pictures with my phone while I'm filming. Yeah. But particular shoot, there was no room. There was no room for an extra person. There was already 12 of us on the set.
Right. And
this particular model that I was good friends with, she just, like, she couldn't understand. Like, I don't, to this day, I still don't understand what concept of no.
Yeah. Listen, I go through a list. I'm like, if you bring somebody and they're fucking burping, or their phone goes off in the background, or if they're over here just making noise, like maybe they're uncomfortable and they do something to like keep their mind, and it's causing some kind of distraction from work and stuff. If they affect my work in any way, you're not going to be getting paid. Like, I say that 5 and 6 times to people that I have as performers, because I'm like, this is work. Like, this isn't playtime. You're being hired. It's work. So this is serious. You don't call in and be like, oh, I'm not coming into work today, and still expect to get paid, because those people are going to laugh you out of the wherever you're calling. Like, nah, bitch, you want paid, you got to show up. It's the same thing. I'm not paying for content that I can't use.
Yeah. That's another thing too. And I'm happy that you brought up the phones thing. Most people know you either turn off the phone or you put it on vibrate or silent.
Yep. I don't even like vibrate.
You want to hear something funny? That same model that had gotten aggressive that we spoke about earlier would always have the phone on after you told her to shut it off. Then it would go off. And one would have to stop what we were filming and redo it again.
Yeah.
It's like, Common sense. Turn it off or put it on vibrate.
Yeah. I always tell them silent. I don't take vibrate, silent. And if you got kids or something you need to check on them, cool. Whenever we take a break, go check. I'm that way. I'm going to check on my kids. But whenever you are at work, you are at work. Like, nobody wants to buy something that we can't sell because we can't do anything with that.
No. If you have a phone ringing off the hook during the shoot, there's only so much you can do in order to mute that noise that's coming from the phone.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It totally messes up one's product.
Yeah. I mean, even if it's just like, it's one reason I don't like vibrate, because if they vibrate it sitting on a table, you can hear the vibration.
Yeah.
Or if your mic is good enough, it'll literally pick up the sound of the vibration. I'm like, put your phone in another room, put it somewhere away if you're going to have it on vibrate, or put it on silent. Like, I'm not trying to have my content fucked up because you want to have your phone. Like, you shouldn't even be worried about your phone. You're working right now.
Another thing I should mention too is every once in a while, you're going to have someone that's going to ask you to shoot behind the scenes content of what you're shooting. And that I usually tell everybody yes. However, there was something that I encountered that now makes me tell people only do it for 30 seconds to a minute, and that is it.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you don't say anything, then you're going to have that one person that's going to film everything that you're filming. And my take on that is, what are you going to do with that? Where are you going to put this behind the scenes content that now you filmed pretty much the whole amount of time that I've been filming? So if I'm filming 10 minutes and you have 10 minutes of behind the scenes content, what are you going to do with that?
Right.
So
and it's not like they're just going to keep it at home, like not show it to anybody, you know?
That's going up on their OnlyFans or some other shit. And then because, you know, you need to have release forms so that they'll just go ahead and tag everybody, you know, and then now the film that you spent money on making and you paid people to make, and you're getting prepared to release it. And meanwhile, without you knowing, somebody has it up on OnlyFans because it was their behind the scenes content that they made.
Yeah. Yeah. Or they're giving it out for free because they want to show people stuff. I've seen so many people be like, oh, I want more followers. Let me go ahead and share this content that someone else's that I was a party to and didn't pay for.
Yeah.
It's exhausting. People are exhausting.
Yeah.
It's been amazing chatting with you.
It's been fun. It's been fun. We should do this again sometime. When I have back home.
You look amazing. Listen, you look amazing. And I really love your beanie.
Has my name on it.
I know. I saw it as soon as we came in. I'm like, all right.
I got this from my friend Laura that lives out in Oregon, because she knows that I don't like to wear hats. But she was like, it's wintertime, you need a hat. Okay, if it has my name on it, I'll wear it.
Yeah, right. Promotion, always. Yeah.
Promotion.
If you guys don't follow Lady O, you can follow her on Twitter, like we said kind of at the beginning, at Lady_Oyanka. And she's amazing. If you guys have any questions, you can leave them for us. Also, thank you guys so much for coming back to Forbidden Depths and continuing to help the channel grow. We will see you on the next episode.
Hey, it's Queen Frostbitten again, your host. I just want to remind you that you can follow us on YouTube at Forbidden Depths. That's FORBIDDENDEPTHS. Or over on Twitter at 4BIDDENDPODCAST. Remember to always stay educated, consensual, and safe. We'll see you on the next show.